I saw my nieces and nephews. I think they're gone, and then he was in the bed with his wife, and they're deceased as well.
We are learning more about the man at the center of a murder-suicide at the Centennial Hills apartment complex on Monday. According to court documents, 42-year-old Marvin Patterson was facing several felony crimes.
Denise Bryan, police got the call around 10 this morning. Someone came to the apartment building to check on their brother and saw the bodies throughout the home.
He made entry into the house and observed several individuals inside the house suffering from gunshot wounds.
Heartbreaking 911 calls detailing the horrific scene of a multiple murder-suicide in the Northwest Valley that left 4 dead. The shooting happening last week near Durango in the US 95.
Now police say the shooter, Marvin Patterson, then turned the gun on himself.
An entire family of 4 brutally murdered. But this wasn't the work of a random killer. It was someone they trusted the most. In this video, we delve into the chilling 2023 murder case of the Patterson family. Viewer discretion is advised. What you're about to hear and see is graphic and disturbing.
Denise Bryan, police say Patterson shot and killed his wife, daughter, and stepdaughter, and shot her son. At last check, family members say the son, DJ, is still fighting for his life in the hospital.
December 11th, 2023. Inside a Las Vegas apartment, 5 lifeless bodies lay in pools of blood. A mother, her husband, and 3 children. All had been brutally to death. There was only one survivor, an 11-year-old boy named DJ. He lay next to his murdered family, bleeding and clinging on to life. As for who was responsible, his very own father. This wasn't some random crime. There was no masked intruder that broke in that night. It was an act of pure evil, carried out by someone they trusted most, Marvin Patterson, the same man Shanara Patterson had bailed out of jail, convinced that he was innocent. She had no idea that this decision would cost her everything.
A warning, the following audio may be hard to hear.
They're all gone. I need the police. I don't know who needs to come. They're all gone.
Or medical?
I mean medical. I hear one of the kids, they're breathing. They're trying to breathe.
Shanara Patterson was the kind of woman who lit up a room. At 34, she was a successful cosmetologist in Las Vegas, loved by her clients for her braids and flawless wigs. Her 3 children, Kezia, 14, DJ, 11, and Zamira, 6, were the center of her world. They were her everything. In 2019, Shanara married Marvin Patterson, a man she believed was her soulmate. She'd fallen head over heels for him, calling him her partner sent by God. Despite having children from previous relationships, the couple worked hard to build a happy family, even welcoming their youngest daughter, Zamira. On the outside, they seemed happy, a picture-perfect family. But behind closed doors, things weren't how they seemed.
That's Zamira. She was sweet. Like, she was the most innocent child I ever met. Like, she didn't have a mean bone in her body. Kezia was goofy. She loved to draw.
But on the day of the shooting, a 911 operator asks what was happening in Marvin's life.
Just life. I mean, he was facing eviction.
In October 2022, their happy life began to take a downward spiral. Marvin was arrested and charged with 9 felony counts, including lewd acts with a minor, assault, and kidnapping. The victims? Young girls who had lived in the same apartment he shared with Shanara and the kids. The allegations spanned nearly a decade, from 2013 to 2022. The charges were sickening, acts of pure evil and depravity. Yet Marvin pleaded innocence. Shanara, deeply in love and blinded by loyalty, stood by him. Marvin's bail was set at $100,000. A lot of money, but barely enough to cover the gravity of his crimes. For 2 months, he rotted in jail, unable to afford the bond. But his attorney argued the bail was unreasonable, claiming that Marvin was a loving husband and father who posed no risk. Family members, including Shanara, testified on his behalf. They vouched for his character, insisting that there was no way he was capable of such heinous acts.
Court documents reveal Patterson was facing several felony charges in Clark County, including sexual assault against a child under 16 and lewdness with a child under 14. He was scheduled to go to trial next April. Last October, Patterson's bail was set at $100,000 for the charges he was facing, but just 2 months later in December, a Clark County judge lowered his bail to only $10,000, agreeing with with his defense team, Patterson would not skip bail and needed to help support his family.
In December 2022, Judge Diana Sullivan made a decision that would seal Shanara's fate. She reduced Marvin's bail to just $10,000. Despite rules being put in place to ban him from being near young children, Marvin paid the reduced amount and walked free. He moved back in with Shanara, who had been evicted from her temporary home. Against all reason, she believed his innocence and welcomed him back into their lives, even though their 14-year-old daughter Kazia lived under the same roof. To make things worse, their money troubles got worse and worse. Marvin's car was about to be repossessed, and eviction loomed over their heads. The pressure was suffocating, but no one could have imagined what was about to happen.
Patterson then posted bond and was placed on house arrest.
I think that the court system failed. I think that the prosecutors could have done more under these circumstances. I think that the guardian or whoever brought those children over to the defendant's home failed these children as well.
Former Clark County District Attorney David Roger believes more should have been done to keep Patterson in custody, given the severity of the crimes he was accused of.
This case is truly a tragedy, and there are a lot of people who have a shared responsibility in what happened here.
On December 10th, Shanara's 34th birthday, she celebrated with her children, completely unaware it would be her last night alive. Marvin, on the other hand, was spiraling. He texted his brother Jason, saying he felt overwhelmed. The stress of his failed life seemed too much to bear. Then, on December 11th, Jason decided to check on his brother. What he found would haunt him forever.
Marvin Patterson's brother, frantic, around 10 a.m. December 11th. He says Marvin texted him, overwhelmed. Then he kicked down the apartment door to see the tragedy within.
I saw my nieces and nephews. I think they're gone, and then he was in the bed with his wife, and they're deceased as well.
The property manager also calling police.
One of the children's gasping. They look like they've all been shot in the back of the head. The two adults are dead in the bed. Okay.
When Jason Patterson arrived at Marvin's apartment that morning, he instantly knew something was wrong. The door was eerily quiet. No sounds of kids playing or Shanara's lively voice. Jason knocked, but there was no answer. Panic set in as he kicked the door down. The scene inside was a nightmare. Blood pooled on the floor. The air was filled with the stench of death. Shanara lay lifeless on the bed next to Marvin, their bodies riddled with gunshot wounds. The children, Kazia, DJ, and Zamira, were found sprawled across the room, all shot execution style, but Jason heard something, faint, ragged breathing. It was DJ. Shockingly, the 11-year-old was still alive, fighting for every single breath. Jason's heart raced as he called 911. Please, I need medical. One of the kids is breathing. Jason can be heard screaming on the call. Paramedics rushed DJ to University Medical Center, but the rest of the family was pronounced dead on the scene. Marvin had turned the gun on himself after slaughtering his family, leaving no explanation.
And do they have gunshot wounds too?
Fire medical services.
Yes.
Okay. Do not hang up.
Gunshot wounds and blood coming out their ear.
The news sent shockwaves through Las Vegas. A mother, her 3 children, and their father, all gone in an instant. People were horrified, not only by the horror of the crime, but also because the whole thing could have been prevented if Marvin was still in prison. Shanara's family was heartbroken. Her mother, Jamaseta Berui, broke down during the funeral, completely blindsided at how someone she trusted so deeply could rip away everything she loved. He was supposed to love her, she said. Instead, he took everything.
An emotional night after Monday morning's tragedy. 5 people shot, 4 dead. The family clinging to their light in the darkness.
This was not supposed to happen.
Jamesetta Bernuti remembering her 34-year-old daughter, Shanara Patterson.
She was sweet, kind, do anything for you.
Shanara's sister, Michaela Bernuti.
She was there no matter who you was, how long she knew you. If she had it, she go give it to you.
Michaela describes her nieces, 14-year-old Keziah Cone, 6-year-old Zamira Patterson.
Duty, that's Zamira. She was sweet. Like, she was the most innocent child I ever met. Like, she didn't have a mean bone in her body. Keziah was goofy. She loved to draw.
DJ, the only survivor, became the focus of the family's prayers. He had suffered severe injuries, but by some miracle pulled through after emergency surgery. Yet his recovery would be far from easy. Physically, he faced a long road of recovery. Emotionally, the trauma of witnessing his family's murder would haunt him for the rest of his life. Shanara's family rallied around him, determined to provide the love and support he would need. A GoFundMe campaign was launched to cover his medical bills and therapy, but the community's response response was slow. Out of a $100,000 goal, only $5,199 had been raised by the time of the funeral.
Their brother, Derek Jr., recovering in the hospital.
He's still fighting. We praying for him. He go pull through. He's strong.
Our 8 News Now investigators uncovering police records showing the gunman was accused of child sex crimes and was on house arrest.
If he had been in jail, none of this would have happened.
As the details emerged, the community's grief turned to outrage. Activists and family members blamed the justice system, mainly Judge Diana Sullivan, who was responsible for reducing Marvin's bail. They argued that Marvin's release had put Shanara and her children directly in harm's way. This man was a monster, and they let him walk free, said Jasmine Lee, founder of a local advocacy group. His bail should never have been reduced. The judge failed this family. Even more chilling was the fact that Marvin had violated the conditions of his release by living with Shanara and the children. Yet no one stepped in to enforce the rules. The system that was supposed to protect the innocent had instead paved the way for their slaughter.
Where he was supposed to be. I don't think they should have let him out at all.
For now, the family sending up their love and prayers.
Now, Metro confirms Patterson was on house arrest and forced to wear an ankle monitor. Our 8 News Now investigators discovered he was let out of jail after Judge Diana Sullivan reduced his bail from $100,000 to $10,000. But he was still ordered to stay away from children.
Whilst Marvin left no note, the signs of his breakdown were clear. He was drowning in financial troubles, facing eviction and the repossession of his car. The weight of his pending trial for child abuse charges loomed large, but none of that justified his actions. Rather than face his failures, Marvin chose to destroy the lives of those closest to him. He made a conscious decision to take his wife and children down with him, making sure they would suffer just as much as him.
Marvin Patterson was on house arrest, facing charges of sex crimes against children, when Metro police say he killed his daughter, stepdaughter, and wife, and also shot her son, who remains in the hospital.
If he had been in jail, none of this would have happened. Where he was supposed to be. I don't think they should have let him out at all.
The mother of Shanara Patterson at this vigil Monday night, hours after learning about her daughter and grandchildren.
Shanara and her daughter's funeral was a heartbreaking event held in a small Las Vegas chapel. Family, friends, and neighbors filled the room. Heartfelt tributes painted a picture of a loving mother and her sweet, charismatic children. Keziah, the artist, DJ, the fighter, Zamira, the bubbly little girl who brought joy to everyone she met. They had their whole lives ahead of them until Marvin took it all away. The pain in the room was unbearable, but the family found some comfort in their shared grief. They promised to keep Shanara's memory alive, even as they struggled to come to terms with how senseless their murder was.
Jasmine Lee runs the Doc Ellis Foundation, named after her father, which provides resources for the families of missing and murdered people of color.
When I looked at the charges, I was baffled because it could have been prevented. The lack of we're in danger. The community didn't realize that we have an individual who's floating around. That bothered me.
The tragedy left a deep scar on the Las Vegas community. It showed how dangerous trusting the wrong person can be, and how the justice system failed to protect a family. Shanara believed Marvin. She thought he was innocent. That trust cost her life and the lives of her children.
We need to sit down and we need to have a conversation. We need to talk with Metro. We need to talk with the individuals that are working in the judicial system. We need to hold this judge accountable and understand why she did what she did, and how do we make sure that that does not happen again.
It is unclear why Shanara Patterson and the children were with Marvin Patterson on Monday. However, court records show she had recently been evicted. Lee says more organizations need to come together to help families in crisis, and more accountability is needed in the judicial system to avoid a tragedy like this.
Marvin Patterson wasn't just a man who snapped. He was a monster waiting to strike, set free by a broken system. Shanara and her kids paid with their lives for trusting him. Let this be a warning. Watch for the signs, protect your family, and understand that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the most. Thanks for watching, and stick around for another chilling story. What should the system have done? What would you have done if you were Shanara? Stay safe. Evil is closer than you think. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video.